welcome to tonight's episode of Global Conservation. I'm Katie Anderson.
And I'm Katie Dawson.
And I'm Anthony Holm.
Tonight we will be discussing sacred forests in Asia and how they could be a model for forest conservation throughout the world.
A sacred forest is defined as any grove of trees that has a special religious importance to a particular culture. Many South Asian countries have strong ties between nature and spirituality.
Because of this, sacred forests are protected from being cut down. This can be a model for sustainable forestry all over the world because of the conservation of the forest that comes with it being sacred. Within the religions of Buddhism, Hinduism, and Shintoism, we can apply the principles of forest conservation for protection of forests all around the world.
And now we have a special report on the importance of sacred forests in Buddhism from our very own Katie Anderson.
Buddhists in Asia believe that forests and trees are important because of the central role that they played in Lord Buddha's life. Buddha was born, enlightened, and died under the ring trees in the forest. About 50% of Buddhist temples are located in the forest. The monks mark the boundaries of their temple and do not allow anybody to cut down the trees within this area. In addition, monks also reforest any bare land or sparse forest areas. Some less desirable trees are even removed and replanted with more desirable ones. One of the best things about the system is that the villagers around the area help the monks and protect and replant the forests. In Thailand, there is a Visakhabucha Day when the birth, life, and death of Buddha are remembered by all. A national tree planting day is commenced. This not only helps in the conservation of the forest, but also shows the connection between Buddhism and the trees.
Thanks, Katie, for that wonderful information. We're now going to Katie.
Throughout Japan, even in the most urban environment, you will find small patches of trees marked with a special gate called a torii. There are over 80,000 of these sacred places, which are the homes of kami, the forest spirits that are pervasive in the indigenous folk religion of Japan called Shintoism. Every Shinto shrine is surrounded by a forest, or at least a stand of trees in more urban settings, and are places where people can come to pray and worship the spirits that reside in the trees and protect their communities. In return, the Japanese protect the homes of their kami. The Japanese word for their sacred forest is Chinju no Mori, which literally translates to forest that is protected from human exploitation. This does not mean that these forests are not managed. Each mori is independently managed by its corresponding community and a Shinto priest that serves the shrine and performs the rituals during religious ceremonies that take place within the forest. Most rituals correlate closely with agricultural practices, most importantly, rice harvests. The development of the Chinju no Mori was Japan's first and only comprehensive approach to management of agriculture and woodlands existing side by side. In stark contrast to Indian and Chinese sacred groves, Japan's forest conservation challenges stem from a population decrease. Farming communities are dwindling, and there are currently only 25,000 Shinto priests working at 80,000 shrines. Instead of harvesting their forests, the Japanese are importing timber because it is cheaper, leaving their own forests either mismanaged or not managed at all. Forests across Japan are left to go wild or are not being replanted after felling trees. This is posing a problem for the Japanese government, particularly because, by law, the government cannot support any conservation program with any religious connections. The Japanese must consider some serious policy changes if they are going to reverse the recent changes in their forest management.
That was great, Katie. Thank you. Here's Anthony Holloman with his segment on Hinduism.
There are many different factors that make the elements of Hinduism important. The foundations of Hinduism was laid upon the studying of relationship between God, mankind, and the universal spirit. That leads to 6 schools of philosophy that were developed by the Nyaya, the Vakishvakiya, the Sankhya, and the Yoga. Every one of these elements relate to how Hinduism has modeled its sacred religion with the elements of nature to create a feeling of tranquility amongst the people who practice it and the nature that lives around it. Hold on. This just in. I was even word on how sacred forests are affected by the threats and complications. It seems that threats to the grove include addition uses sacred groves as a way of exploiting medicine. Modern uses use sacred groves as biodiversity hotspots, or various species seek refuge in areas due to progressive habitation or destruction. Sacred groves often contain plant and animal species that have become extinct in neighboring areas and therefore harbor great genetic diversity. Besides for sacred groves, the urban landscape as a lung for the city as well, providing much needed vegetation cover. Hinduism, along with these natural rules that are placed with these sacred groves, protects forests in Southeast Asia today, and are a great model for forest conservation.
And that concludes Group 9's broadcast of Global Conservation. I'm Katie Anderson.
I'm Anthony Holland.
And I'm Katie Dawson.
Have a good night, America.